Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Boy, what a day we are having here at Positive Talk. We just really love it. And Rochelle is here. She's always here anytime that I can drag her out of her, in this case, her sick bed. And so we're hoping that she can make it through, but we'll see. And in any event, I'm excited for this show. Last hour on the show, we talked about men and men's issues. This hour, we're going to talk about the fairer sex. I'm not even sure I'm not even allowed to say that anymore. But we're going to talk about women and their place in society and work and all that stuff. But Rochelle, and by the way, tell everybody where they can go if they want to listen to any of these shows as they're being done on YouTube.
Yes. If you would like to listen to the show live as it's being done, you can visit Twitter, also known as X, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, all by searching Positive Talk Radio, and we will be there.
And we're going to be on the Brushwood Media Network, and our guest is going to be there. Would you, woman to woman, would you like to introduce our guest?
I would love to. Today we have the original one and only Samantha Kaye Harris. That is the same as her website, SamanthaKayeHarris.com. And I'm excited for this because she helps women who are ready to find their confidence and their own role in a male-dominated position. So welcome, Samantha, and how are you?
I am doing well, and thank you so much for having me, Rochelle and Kevin. I'm just excited to be here to talk about all the things.
Well, I guess we need to start.
Yes.
We need to start at the beginning, way back, not when you were born, of course, but how did you become immersed and in this work and decided that you wanted to help women? Now, you were an executive of note, and so you've been through that a bit. So, but tell us your story.
Okay, well, it all started back in 1900s, but I took a class and I learned how to do paving and sheetrocking, and my job had this whole thing for women who wanted to do something different. And I took the class, I passed it. I drive Class A vehicles and push snow in the wintertime. So I decided that this was the career path that I wanted to be on because I absolutely love what I did. I love being out. Honestly, I love paving. I love the asphalt, the smell, being out there, just enjoying it. It's something about it when you're out there. So I got into this work, but really too, because I wanted weekends and holidays off. I didn't have weekends and holidays off, so this enabled me to have weekends and holidays, and I was able to see things being built from the bottom up, and I enjoyed it. So, hence, 25 years later, I'm still in that environment. I'm a supervisor in it, and I lead groups of men, over 60 men, 5 supervisors, and at some points, 103 men with 103 pieces of equipment.
Wow.
That's a lot of men and a lot of equipment.
It is. It is. And I absolutely love what I do. It's being at the airport, doing what I do, making sure that the runways and the taxiways are clean to make sure that people are safe. And I run the operation alongside my chief to make sure that people are where they're supposed to be in the equipment that best suits their qualifications. And we show up and we do what we do every day.
Mhm.
However, you've also made a turn and you've become a coach, and you're helping women recognize their inherent right to equality in both in pay and in stature, and to help them understand that they can do everything guys, close your ears for a second. Women can do everything that a man can do, and and if you were paving roads for heaven's sakes.
Yes. I mean, for me, I got into this because I know the challenges that women face in these roles that are dominated in these environments that are dominated by men, where women are only maybe 10%, or they can be the first, or the only, or just one or two. So we face challenges that most people don't believe or understand that we face when men don't think that you belong in these environments, when men, because they've been socialized to think that women have certain jobs or that we're taking jobs from them. They kind of have this attitude that we don't belong. I don't know who gets to define where someone belongs but themselves, but we'll move forward from there. But just in that alone, or over talking you. Now I'm on the other side. I work in the field. That's what I call it. That's what we call it. We work doing the actual work. Now I'm on the other side. I'm supervising. So they'll still um, there's still challenges because the men will doubt your ability to supervise, or they want to question your knowledge. So in that causes some women to have self-doubt. And I was one of those women, to be very honest. I doubted me showing up, being able to supervise them because they did so many things to undermine my authority. So I in turn kind of like, oh, should I be here? Shouldn't I be here? Until I started doing the work for myself, on myself, that I understand that I had to be confident and own how I showed up, owned what I didn't know, and be able to speak to it and stand firmly and rooted in everything that I do.
Mm.
Do they call you Miss Harris? Do they call what do they call you?
I say,
Boss lady,
Samantha, come
boss
help me,
lady,
boss lady. Yes.
boss
I
lady.
love that.
Yes, that's what they call me.
And you're always going to have a few that are going, a few men I'm talking about, that are going to view it negatively. But I think most of the time, most men appreciate somebody who's talented at what they do, knows what they're talking about, and can do it. But there was a process that you went through to get to that point, wasn't there?
Of course it was. Had to do with me. It didn't have to do with them. It had to do with me being able to step into it and not allow the doubting people to step in front of me and make me doubt myself. So I have good friends that love to see me walk into the room. I have other supervisors that love to see me walk into the room. They appreciate my knowledge that I have, my perspective that I bring to the job, but it took me owning it, me believing in me trusting me and my own abilities before I could do it at all. So even though I had people that would say, "Hey, Samantha, could you do this?" I did have self doubt, but not until I started believing in me, not until I started trusting my own journey, my own strength. Meaning, I remember in my office right now, I have this sign that says, "Behind every courageous woman is herself." And not
Mm.
until I started believing it and owning it. And I had a friend of mine to give it to me. He's a supervisor friend of mine. He has since retired. But because my favorite thing was, nobody has my back. Nobody has my back. I was quick to say it, but not until I started having my own back, started believing in myself, did I actually step into it and own it. And that's the key to anything: owning your abilities, owning what you're capable of doing.
Rochelle?
Mm. I just sit here and I think about how much this resonates with me, Samantha, because my mom was a mechanic growing up a lot of my life. And it really came down to not only her believing in herself, but there was a level of respect that it was like, okay, she may know more than me and we can help each other. And really, I think that it's powerful how much you see a woman stand up and be in her energy and be in herself and know what she's worth and also be willing to help without being prideful, staying humble and secure in her energy. Not only does it make people respect you, but it also allows them to be able to look up to you and kind of reflect themselves as well. Um, I mean, I'm guessing you've had challenges with men where it was just like, I'm trying to help you, but they they're like, "Oh, you're challenging me." And so I love how you talk about being courageous. That's what we talked about in the last podcast is when you are courageous to stand in your energy and know what you're worth, people also see that. Because if you were kind of hiding and not standing as your boss lady, you probably wouldn't get that title, right?
No, you wouldn't. And being able to stand in it and being able to speak to it so people respect you. And that's like putting a boundary in place. You
Yeah,
know, when you walk into a room and you know that you bring value and that you know that you can speak to any subject, and honestly, a little bit of difference. I don't believe in being humble. Mm-mm,
okay,
at all.
okay.
Mm-mm.
Tell me about it.
Because let me tell you, I wasn't going to say it out loud, but let me tell you,
Too late, you did.
I did. I don't believe in being humble because at the end of the day, that says that I have to make someone else feel good and make myself a little bit smaller so they are comfortable with me. I don't care if they're comfortable with me. It's not my responsibility to make them comfortable. As long as I'm moving in that energy, speaking in that energy, that's how they're going to treat me. But if I own the whole thing and I own every bit of what I bring, all the knowledge and my value, because I bring it and I bring it wholeheartedly and I stand flat footed in it, as my mother used to say. I will not make you feel comfortable by playing it a little softer, a little nicer, so that you can hear me.
Right,
I need you to hear me because I'm giving you a directive. I need you to hear me because I do have knowledge. So I show up in that energy nicely, but
right.
strongly, and letting them
Yeah.
know.
You go listen to me, whether you like it or not.
Yes, because at the end of the day, when men deal with men, they don't do that. They don't have to
Right.
make them feel comfortable with each other. So why should
Yeah,
I have to do that for you to understand that I do know what I'm doing? And as long as I
fair.
moved in that energy before, that's how they treated me. So putting that boundary in a place and standing in that shifts the whole conversation, shifts the whole environment that we work in. And that's why they respect me. And I believe that's probably why they respected your mother, because at the end of the day, she walked in there and she knew exactly what it was and she
Well,
stood in
and
it.
I bet in a way she probably believes so much with you about being humble, because if she knew what she was talking about and somebody came and tried to challenge her, she didn't let up. And yes, she could have probably been a little nicer about it, but at the end of the day, she knew she was right. She stood her ground, and really, that's what brought her respect was holding that ground and not being like, "Oh yeah, okay, maybe I am wrong." She's like, "No, you're wrong. I'm right. I'm gonna prove it to you," and that's definitely how she earned that respect. So thank you for making that point because there's a whole different way to think about things.
Well,
Do you
thank you for
guys
receiving that.
do you guys remember that song? I think it was in the 80s. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't. I think it was Mac Davis or somebody who did that song. But I wanted to ask you because there was a moment in time when you got called into the supervisor's office, and you said, and they said, Samantha, you do a hell of a good job, and we love you, and we think that they may have not said this, but because they're a bunch of gruff men, but they at one point they said, "Okay, we're going to make you a supervisor." What was the first thought that ran through your head?
Could I do it? That was the first thing. Could I do it? I work with these men, and now I'm going to be on this other side of the table, and I'm going to be supervising them. So it does creep in there. Like, am I going to be able to stand up, do all the things, and run the show? It was believing that's not believing fully in yourself. You know that you're able, you know that you're capable, but then it's like, hmm,
Hmm.
and this is just normal and being honest. Like, ugh. But when you do, game changer because they no longer can speak to you. Like I said, I've had people question it, like, hey, tell me I'm too animated. But that's my superpower. Anything that they feel is a problem is my superpower. And it's on them. And it's not for me to figure out how to make them comfortable with my superpower.
Well,
Hmm.
men don't do that to other men.
No.
Especially in your line of work, a supervisor doesn't come up to another guy and say, I need to have you do this. Do you feel comfortable doing that? Would that be okay? That's not how that goes. It's like, you need to get out there and do this now. And so you, as a supervisor, you have to do the same thing without qualifying it. Is that okay? Am I overstepping?
And honestly, as you said that, I think back when I first became a supervisor and I was giving directives. And I would say my favorite thing was, hey, could you do me a favor? And the same supervisor that brought me on, he said, Samantha, let me talk to you for a minute.
Uh-oh.
And and the most direct way he could say it, but nice, he said, you're not asking anyone to do you a favor. This is their job. You're telling them what to do. So having certain people who have your back or to say, Samantha, you're doing the right thing, but it could be tweaked to be better, to help represent you, to let people know that you are in a position of authority and that you do know what you're speaking about. You need to talk differently. So that was a learning experience also for me.
And we're talking with Samantha Kaye Harris, and we need to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk about your website and what you've got going on there, and talking about your Thrive method,
Yes.
which would be really fun to do. Brishelle is here, I'm here, and Samantha's here, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I dare you not to. At 67 years young, I never thought I'd feel this good again. But thanks to Purium's Ultimate Transformation Lifestyle, to date, I've lost 37 pounds and gained energy, confidence, and a whole new outlook on life. This isn't a diet. Purium is a complete lifestyle change, giving me all the natural, organic, nutrition-packed superfoods that fuel my body, crush my cravings, and help me burn fat naturally without starving myself. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just a simple, proven system that works. Superfood shakes, detox support, and real results. If I can do this at 67, imagine what you can do. It's your time to feel better, look better, and live better with Purium. Let's do it now, and let's do it together. Go to www.positivetalkradio.net and click on the Transform You to get started. That's positivetalkradio.net. Transform You. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And Brishelle is here, and Samantha Kaye Harris is here, and she's got an incredible website. She's got a business, and in addition to working for the municipality, either the city or the state or whichever it is, she also is a coach, and she helps women get through some of the issues that they have with, oh my, being too mean. Are they saying I'm too bitchy? Because men who are in supervisory positions, I was one and stuff, and men that are assertive and strong and know what they're talking about, they're called assertive and powerful leaderships. Women who are assertive and tell you what needs to get done and then have you do it, oh, she's such a bitch. So
Heard that a lot.
Exactly.
I imagine you don't take that sitting down very well, or standing up either.
Sitting, standing, turning around in a circle, I don't take it at all.
And by the way, nor should you.
Thank you so much. I will not. I do not have to. I get to stand up fully and wholly as myself. And again, I'm not going to apologize at all for who I am and anything that I ask you to do. You're going to do it, and I'm going to respect you just as much as I expect you to respect me. And if not, then we can have a conversation.
Something tells me, Samantha, I don't want to have that conversation with you.
Yeah.
What, me? Most people do not.
I imagine since you work with as many as 100 men at a time, I imagine the word gets around. Oh, no, no, you better just do as she says because
Yeah,
you
don't
don't
mess with
want to
her.
end up in her office.
You know what? I've heard that. I'm not sure that is true, but I have heard that.
Well, and part of your life experience is that you are taking your experiences as being a woman in a supervisory position in a male dominated business, and you're working on, and you've put together a great website, and you are working to help women do several things: personal growth, professional success, emotional strength, social connections, and you call that the Thrive Method. Would you describe that for us, please?
Oh, this Thrive method of mine, it is something that will allow you as women to tap into the personal, professional, and emotional part of yourself. And it teaches you all how to self ally. And it's how you identify yourself as a human being. So you're no longer leaning on everyone else. Did you see me leaning on everyone else to look for validation? These things allow you to lean into yourself, own your own worth and value, where you believe in you and you don't look for anyone else to just hold you. Not that we don't have allies, but you self ally first, you self love first. And through learning to love on yourself and not just care for yourself, because a lot of times we as women are taught to care for ourselves, go to the spa, do shopping therapy, where you spend more money than you choose to, but because you think that's going to make it okay. So, learning how to self love, self validate, self believe, all the things that equal self love. That's what I teach, and that's what helps you thrive. Being able to tap into you and understand why emotionally you're having all these emotions because someone said something to you. It's probably something that society has said that you should do that you're not understanding how to process. And if you take your time and get to tap into you on a personal level, understand where your feelings come from, where society, where the patriarchal system has defined you, and you're falling into that definition, is a game changer. It'll allow you to strip down all the things that the world, your family, has put on you, and you become a new person, and you can stand differently professionally. You can have better conversations where you're not jumping up and down or angry or going into flight, freeze, or fawn mode when you become a people pleaser. So now you're showing up differently, whole, and your emotions are intact. You learn to control them, meaning you tap into you and understanding you. And these all help you to thrive, stand up, and become your own human and not who the world tells you to be.
You
So I have
know,
to ask you,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Michelle.
no,
I know.
please.
I was
I have
just
a
going
really good question.
to, I was just going to say that sometimes on this show, when we do a bunch of live shows, a theme develops. And in this case, the theme developed is it comes from inside of you. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, and that's following my next question is a few times you've mentioned, Samantha, about communication. And I'm wondering for you, how did going through what you went through and being in that position of earning your place and being respected as a supervisor, how did that change the way you communicated with yourself?
Oh, it changed. Oh, I can't even tell you. It has really allowed me to tap into me
Yeah.
because I can have conversations with myself and make me okay. I'm not
Mhm.
looking for anything or anyone where I'm telling myself how beautiful I am, how brilliant I am. I have this thing that I have a brag bag where I can reach in and look for all my accolades and all my knowledge, and I can pull them out at any time where I continue to put belief in myself. And I'm not having to depend on anyone. So these conversations to myself, with myself, is telling me how great and amazing I am and how I can take care of and achieve anything that I choose.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you know what's interesting about that is that you know who you are. Have you always been this way?
Absolutely not. It took time to get here. It did. Because honestly, I was first when I think back about it, I wasn't raised to um my parents, a good little girl, seen and not heard. Oh my goodness, you need to be quiet and prim. I always had on a little dress and some Mary Jane. Kevin, you remember those Mary Jane shoes the girls wore, the black one with the little buckle and stuff. I'm aging
Oh yeah.
myself. So yeah, so I always had those on, and you didn't want to be too loud. You didn't want people to talk about you. You didn't want people to have an opinion about you. So no, I wasn't. But stepping into this role and having gone through so many different situations where I wasn't standing up because I needed someone to like me, accept me, believe in me, I didn't trust myself. And learning how to trust myself allowed me to become a different person because I did the work, meaning I got help. I got me a coach, I journaled, I read books, and it created this belief in myself that's unwavering, that I stand in every single day now. I no longer wait for anyone to tell me who I am and what I need. So it's been a journey. Um, I think it was at the what I consider my lowest moments of being ostracized at the job because the men thought I was speaking up too much and I was taking money out of their pocket because I had made a complaint.
Mm,
So they stopped speaking to me. They treated me bad. I was sad. I was lonely, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me. At the time, I didn't realize it because it taught me so much about myself. It taught me how to believe in me, how to walk away from situations that are no longer serving me, and to move forward and not just getting stuck there because I didn't want to. Because a lot of times we stay in situations because we don't want people to believe they're running us away, or we don't want people to think that we're afraid. But I was able to walk away because that was the healthiest thing for me. Did I leave the job? No. But I moved to a different facility where I was able to really connect with myself and figure out what is going on with you that you needed them to validate you.
Rochelle?
really, it's empowering for me, because it's how Kevin said, you're such a bitch. And I'm like, so you want me to lower who I am for you so you can be above me? That's I don't care who you are or what gender or what religion. I don't care who you are, what you believe in yourself. You cannot expect somebody to lower themselves to for you to feel better about you. Um, and it just kind of reminds me to set myself in that energy every day. Um, and I love how you mentioned still being respectful. You're not coming to them as like um, the one and only powerful, but because you have the knowledge, you can confide in yourself and have that confidence and trust. Like, what did you, was there a moment where you kind of realized, like, I trust me and nobody can kind of shake that?
Yes, it was. I was at the command station. I'll call it that. So, because it's
Okay.
technical term, but I was there, and that's just that's where I have 102 men and 102 pieces of equipment. So I was there, and we do a simulation because it's required. And by federal government to say that. So it's required by the federal government every year. We must do that. And the boss at that time, he had brought another person, hired someone, and he brought them in. And he was basically saying what I do wasn't important. Oh, you can do what Samantha does. It's not that big. And as
I
I
dare
sat
you.
there, as I sat there and I leaned back, and I leaned back and I had a cup of tea because we do these on nights. I'm tired. I've been at work 16 hours and I'm leaning back and I'm thinking to myself, like, is he kidding me? And I'm not just saying it, that I'm dropping some F bombs in my brain. And I was like, did he really say that? And as I sat up and I asked him, was he serious? You talking about me? And he was like, well, what you do is okay. And I said, you don't get to do that. You don't get to put me down. And I ran my resume to him. That brag bag I talk about. I reached in there and I showed it to him verbally. And he was very upset and angry. But at that moment, that was that pivotal moment when I knew standing up for me, believing in me, and not allowing anyone to make me or want me to feel less because of the words that they're saying out of their mouth whether it's to make me feel bad or to build someone else, I was not going to allow that. I get to stand in what I believe in about myself before anyone else. And I think as women, we don't do that enough. We've been told,
Right.
don't forget the bridge that brought you over. We've been taught that we have to be nice in order to be accepted, especially in this world where it's only a few women. Because if not, they won't let any other women. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to stand in this today and to let you know who I am. And the next woman that comes behind me, that's standing on my shoulder, is going to be just as good, is going to have just as much belief in herself. And we're still going to grow. But as long as we walk in fear of people taking something from us, not believing that there's going to be another, we kind of step back and we allow nonsense and BS to take first center stage instead of us standing in it.
I got to ask
Oh,
you, when you were talking with that, listening to that supervisor say those things, and you were saying these things in your head, the F word and all of that, none of that slipped out, did it? I mean, oh, did I say that out loud?
No, it did not. But I tell you,
that's some
it want
control.
to. It took a lot of control, and
And
I
and
was like, oh,
And by the way,
Yeah.
Samantha Kaye Harris is our guest, and Burchelle has an appointment with the president because he needs her advice. So she's going to be leaving us now. And I want
Yeah.
Burchelle, is there anything you'd like to say before you go talk to that guy?
Yes. Really, just the last thought I'm having is a lot of times, no matter who you are, you're mirroring yourself with another person. And when they come across you, Samantha, you probably make them feel like they need to have their pride up. And when they realize you have more knowledge, and I love that you've built that trust in yourself, because when they mirror themselves to you, you're like, no, you reflect that back onto them, and it probably helps teach them a lot about themselves and other places in the world to respect women who know what they stand for and have more knowledge than they do. So thank you for the work that you're doing and for being on the show. And I'm so excited for people to get to work with you. And I myself am going to take a look at your website and would love to talk to you further.
well, thank you so much, Rochelle. It was so nice meeting you. I know you got to do the thing with the president, so you do that.
Yes,
I will
thank
see
you
you
so
next
much.
time.
Yes, yes, we got to have you back. I already know that. So,
Thank
And
you.
Burchelle, would you set that man straight, please? So
oh, I have no problem doing that. So, thank you everybody for having me on today, and keep listening in. This is a good show for the last end of the day on a weekday. So, I hope you guys thrive in this conversation.
ooh, very nicely
I like
done.
that.
Very
Yeah.
nicely done. Thank you, Rochelle. And we need to take our station break, and we'll be right back. More with Samantha Kaye Harris. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We're talking with Samantha Kaye Harris, and she's a coach, and she's a supervisor, and I would not be a bit surprised if there are people at your work and in your life that say, "That's Samantha, boy, she's a badass." I got to tell you.
They probably do.
But the cool thing is in talking with you, you also have a heart of gold, and you're working to help other women because times, it's an old Bob Dylan song, times they be a changing, and women are breaking glass ceilings all over the place. And in a lot of cases, they do need the coaching and the help from somebody who's been there, so that they can get through the doubts and the things of what you were doubting originally, which was, gosh, am I good enough? Will the guys listen to me? All those creeping things that may have been, but you've overcome all of that. And now you're helping other women get to that place, so that if they are the only woman in the boardroom or in the office, that they can stand up for themselves and do a good job for themselves, and by extension become a better supervisor or a better employee or a better friend. And one of the things you talk about are social connections. How do you build social connections and supportive networks at work?
Well, it's like anything. Once you believe in yourself and you can self ally, then you know what you're looking for. You know the people around you, and you know what you're willing and not willing to take. So, not anyone can come into your space and disrupt that, because you know what type of conversations you want to have. And you can tell if that's the right energy that's in your circle, in your aura, and you can go from there. And then that builds friendships, that builds relationships that you support each other. I have, um, again, I work with men, so most of my friends are men that I work with, to be very honest. And let me tell you, they're cheerleaders for me in every step of the way. They have my back, and I have theirs, but it's due to me loving on myself. I'm not just picking up anybody and putting them in my circle. I'm depending on me to have discernment and be able to figure out who's the right person. And when I start being everything that I want from somebody else to me first, that allows me to continue to grow and expand my circle with the right people.
When I was in management, I called it something called divide and conquer. Because I would walk into a new restaurant. I was a restaurant general manager, and there would be 70 people that worked there, and some of them were resonated with me, some of them didn't, some of them kissed my butt, some of them didn't. But what I learned to do was to gather some key people who resonated with me, and that we could form a bond, and then gradually add people to that social network until the naysayers and the people that said, "Who is this guy and why is he here?" went away, because they became the minority. Is that a good strategy for a woman to employ who's in a supervisory position?
That is the exact strategy that you must have. Building your circle and making the link so strong, meaning building those relationships, having each other's back, being able to not allow the naysayers to intercede at any time with any type of negative chatter. That's that bond that's unbreakable. So they're going to stay on the outside. It's like putting the naysayers in a little pool by themselves and letting them swim in that, and not letting them stick their head out. Because
That's exactly true.
we're on the outside of this, and we're living, and they're in this little pool by themselves. And as long as we don't allow them to break that glass or shatter it or do anything that's going to cause any, and even if they do, it's not enough that's going to break any bonds that we have or beliefs that we have in each other or what we're doing as humans.
And the really cool thing about that is that when people have your back, and then there's somebody that comes along and says, "I don't know, I don't think they say, "Shut up."
You know what? And I have those people in my life, and I would bet the bank on it. That's what they say. I think they have so much confidence and belief and know that I have their back just as much, that people don't dare to say anything, because they stand that strong for what they believe in and who they believe in, that has them the same way.
And they know what is right, and
That is,
they work to do what is right.
yes, that is so important. When we can surround ourselves with people that are like-minded, that aren't afraid to speak up, that aren't afraid to have everyone around them doubt them, then that builds a bond and a belief in themselves and in me and our friendship.
You know, and I really believe that, honestly, that people like to be part of a group. They like to be part of a team, part of a successful team, and so if it's done right and you can do it correctly, you can really build that team, and then they're also from a business standpoint, productivity goes up, jobs done better because people are taking pride in their work, and you're the glue that's holding it all together. Would that be true?
That is so true. I laughed. I was smiling because I know it to be true for a fact. Even when I have to go out and I call it the field, when I have to go out onto the work job site and I'm there, and them knowing and believing in what I say and me believing in their capabilities, not questioning what they're doing and understanding it, it builds such a team spirit. And I tell you, they work harder than any humans I know to make sure that the job is done correctly, because not only for themselves, but for me, because we're an extension of each other. And as long as we're building on that makes the day. And it's not because I'm buying coffee. It's not because I'm buying lunch. It's because they believe in themselves and their own work ethic. And they believe in me and what I've built and the team that I'm building. I don't divide to conquer, because my favorite thing is, hey, we in this together. If I fail, you fail. You are your brother's keeper, and I am the sister that you're supposed to keep too. So us being a family, we make things happen. It's nothing but good things that can come from here.
And it becomes a really good place for people to work. And so turnover goes down, disgruntlement goes down. People go the extra mile to make sure. As an example, my son is a diesel mechanic. You got 102 pieces of equipment that need to be taken care of, and if the guys that are in the field don't care about the equipment and taking care of them, then things are going to go down and the work's going to slow down. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling, all-encompassing proposition that you build camaraderie, and then they take better care of themselves, better take care of the equipment, and the job gets done faster. Is that true?
That is so true, because that's what during the winter months when we're all out working together, when we keep our machinery up and running, or hey, I could do it, Smith, I can get it back to the building and still get the job done. We're back in the building. We're finished doing what we're doing. Planes are flying, and we're all in a good place. So working together and them having that much faith in themselves, faith in me, and knowing that I'm not going to put them in harm's way, that creates such a place of camaraderie, as you said. Like, hey, we're one team, we're one unit. We stand together. We're gonna run this together. And I remember back in the day when I was younger, we just took pride in making sure. And that's what I instill now, having pride in what we do. And I love that my team is that way. And you're right, Dave. Samantha, do I have to leave? And because I go after the jobs. Don't stay here with me. You have to move forward, because they enjoy actually coming to work, being part of my team.
It is, and by the way, if they enjoy their time at work, they're not going to go. The chances of them going home and kicking the dog are a lot less.
That is so true. That is so true. No one ever kicks the dog, I don't believe. Maybe after their weekend, but not after they leave a day with me.
Exactly. By the way, again, we're talking with Samantha Kaye Harris. Go to her website, which is samanthakharris.com. She is a coach. She's got the Thrive method, and she'll help you if you're struggling. I'm going to read right from your website, because I love this phrase. Sis, I see you. You're in a job. You're one of the first or the very few women. You're an anomaly. They don't quite get you. Sometimes you feel like you have to struggle for your seat at the table. Triple check everything and be perfect. Play the supporting role in the background. I want to mention that triple checking everything and being perfect. Is that even possible?
No, it's not. But that's what we've been made to believe, that if we check it, that's what we've been taught since children, to be perfect. And all it does is slow us down from getting to our next destination. I think practice makes prepared, not perfect. And as long as when we stop thinking that we can be perfect, it's going to allow us to make C work, B work, A, but whatever's supposed to be in your team, in your life, is going to be there if you are perceived perfect or not. Because perception is everything. We perceive if we're perfect or not. And that's what the world tells us that we should be. Well, who gets to define perfect but me or you? You define perfect for yourself, Kevin, and I define for perfect for me.
Well, I'm like Mary Poppins. I'm practically perfect in every way, you know.
Every way.
Yeah, that's why I can't get a date to save my life. But that's another story.
For another day.
Another day. We need to take a quick break. And again, we're talking with Samantha Kaye Harris. And we'll be back. It's just 30 seconds. Relax. We'll be right back with more with Samantha. Stay right where you are.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and Samantha Kaye Harris is with us, and I got a story I need to get your advice on, young lady.
All right.
There are some companies that when you have a high work ethic, and I'm going to use somebody that I know well as an example. She has a high work ethic, and she ran a department of 3, and she did well. And they liked her work. And so they decided, we need to do some budget cuts. And so then she became a department of 2. So her 40-hour job turned into a 50 or 55-hour job. But you got 40 hours pay. And then they decided, because she was still doing well, they would cut the other person to part-time. And so now that became a 60-hour work week. And she still got the job done. But she was sacrificing a lot to get that done. She was sacrificing her health, sacrificing her family's time and stuff. And then over time, they had another budget cut, and they said, well, you're not a revenue producing department, so therefore we're going to make it 1, and you can do the work for the entire company. And so she did that, and she would work 8 hours in the day, and then she would go home and work another 6 hours at night, sitting behind a computer, doing all the things that she needed to do. And she was being absolutely abused by her employer. And a lot of women have, up until now, just dealt with that because it's a job, it pays my bills, I don't want to rock the boat, all those things that you talked about. How would you advocate somebody address that situation now when they are clearly being taken advantage of?
I would first talk to the woman, and I would want to know, for your friend that that's what you said, your friend. And I would want to know why she's showing up. Because a lot of times we unconsciously subscribe to someone telling us doing all these things makes us a better worker, a better human, and to sacrifice yourself makes you good. And having those conversations in itself, and bringing awareness for the woman, to bring awareness to what she's doing and why she's doing it. Because that's the key, understanding what you're doing and why. And then that would be an open door for us to explore something different for her. What she's sacrificing, what she's giving up, because her wanting to be that good person or the right person that they perceive her to be, and not asking for anything extra, meaning extra money, extra vacation because they think we think that, oh, I might lose this job, but you're losing yourself in the process. You're losing your family because a lot of times we hold on to these things because of promises that we make ourselves. It's going to get better. They'll see how great I am, but they're actually using you. They're not caring for you, and you're not even caring for yourself. And understanding your value could be served somewhere else and you could be appreciated will allow you to move on to something that's better for you and that serves you better as a human.
And I imagine in your work, I'm sure you see them. There are lots of women, especially women over 50. When I turned 50, even as a man, I could no longer work in the sales field that I'd done for years because I was now considered either too expensive or too long in the tooth or whatever. And so there are a lot of people who get stuck in positions that they would rather not be, but they're scared that they can't get another job because of their age. Does that ever happen? And I know that happens, but in your work, how do you address those sorts of things?
A lot of times, I don't, as far as not being able to get another job, I think people stay out of fear of losing something, a piece of themselves. They attach their identity to their jobs.
Yes.
So, in my line of work, if they can still go and they can still swing a hammer and they can still show up, they will push themselves to the end. As a woman, me being able, I'm able to say, no, I can't do that anymore. And I don't show up that way. But as for the men, I think they push themselves because what else am I going to do? They identify their jobs as who they are. And once they realize they are so much more than just their job, just their position, they're able to walk away and live a more prosperous life.
Have you ever heard of the concept of the golden handcuffs?
No, but it sounds gonna sound interesting. Let me hear.
Well, what it is, see, I was a bus driver in Seattle for 12 years, and it pays well, and it has great benefits and stuff. And if you work enough, you can make a six-figure income. And so what happens is, but the job is stressful. You're on the roads with all kinds of traffic every day. Well, you have the Class A as well, and stuff, and so you're on the road with all these people and stuff, and you've got passengers, and you've got things going on, and so they get to hate the job, but it pays well. It takes care of their lifestyle, and so they stay, even though they hate it, it's stressful, and it actually shortens their life. That's what I call the golden handcuffs, because you make enough money it meets your needs, but you can't leave the job because you're scared that you won't be able to replace that income.
Yes. I do know, and I know several people who still live their life like that now, that they are have those golden handcuffs on, that this is the only thing that's going to support my needs and my wants, and I won't be able to survive outside of here. And it doesn't matter what's going on. I think it's a mind play that we play on ourselves. I know people that don't retire stay there because how am I going to live past this? What if it's no overtime? What if it's no extra money? What if it's no raises? How am I going to live? It's a lack of faith in themselves.
And it is, or one of the other bus drivers and he regularly worked like 65 hours a week, which is a lot if you're going to be sitting behind driving a bus. That's a lot. And so we were having a conversation, and I said, "Why are you working so much?" And he said, "Well, my wife is used to a certain lifestyle. And so she likes to have enough money to be able to go shopping and for us to go on vacations and stuff like that. And so and she doesn't work, but I have to work 65 hours a week. That's just the way it is." And then he said, "Well, what does your wife say?" And I said, "I'm not married." And he said, "You mean you can do whatever you want to with your money? Said, yeah, I work 40 hours a week. I don't need to work all that much. I can live and have a good time. And and his eyes went to the floor and he said, dang, I wish that were me. Because it is amazing though the how we get into situations with our work life and what we do that are really not good for us. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think sometimes it's a story that we tell ourselves. And is it actually true? Because we can tell ourselves story because this is what it's always been. But have you asked the question? And has this really been asked of you? Or is this what you believe you should be doing? So again, that
exactly.
check in with ourselves, that understanding us and under having our own integrity for ourselves is key to living a good soft life because it doesn't have to be hard, but we've just become conditioned to having it hard, working hard, that we don't think it's any other way to live.
Samantha, I think you're great, and I think that you can help a lot of people. So, if somebody wants to work with you, how do they do that?
They can contact me at www.samanthakharris.com or email me at info@samanthaharris.com or even on LinkedIn, samanthakharris.com.
Now, you've got this quiz. And before we go, I wanted to talk about the quiz real quick. You can take it, it's for free. And you go to our website, samanthakharris.com, and that's K with an E. And you can take this free quiz to help you see where you stand, pinpoint what's holding you back, and give you the tools to show up strong and thrive in your position. Um, so I wanted to get that out. Do a lot of people take that?
Yes, they do. And it helps them see where they can allow themselves room to grow and where they can improve. And it allows them to also just check in with themselves and ask the questions, what could I do? Things that we are unconscious of.
Exactly. And I'll bet you after they take the quiz, a lot of them are surprised by the results.
They are. And they want to check in and have a better understanding of why they're not showing up 150%. Because then we start to question, why did I say this? Or because we don't know to ask ourselves questions. We don't know to say, hey, is this okay? Why am I doing this? So this allows your brain to start thinking a little bit. So, hey, I need to help myself out. I need to work on it. So you get to grow from there.
And if you get your brain to think about stuff, magically your brain can change.
Yes, it is because we have the answers. We just don't realize we have our own answers. But if we start asking ourselves enough questions, then we get the right answers for us. We know ourselves better than anyone else.
And the interesting thing is that in my belief structure that we already know the answers. We've just forgotten them. And so we spend our time and we need to remember the answers that we already know.
That is so true. Because no one knows you better than you in this world. So we just have to tap back into that place that people have told us not to do, not to become, not to say, and allow ourselves to trust us again.
I love that word trust. It's an important word. It needs to be said more because you need to trust yourself. Because if you don't trust yourself, nobody's going to trust you and you can't trust anybody else.
That is so true. And learning, but isn't it funny how you have to learn to trust yourself again? When
Uh-huh.
as children, we trusted ourselves so much to do anything. If we decided to jump, turn, scream, we believed that we could do it. We trusted whatever the outcome was. But because everyone's protecting or feeling it's dangerous or it's something that happened to someone else, we decide not to trust our own self or believe in us.
Exactly. Samantha, thank you for being here. I really appreciated it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you anytime. This has been wonderful for me. Thank you.
We're going to talk more. And by the way, when I was 5, I was cute and they said I could sing. When I was 10, I wasn't so cute and they said you can't sing. That's how it works. So thank you. Thank you everybody for tuning in and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at kmmedia.pro.